Welcome back, folks. Getting ready to take a set. Got a nice cup of coffee. Beautiful day out. Sun just came up. Clear, light wind out of the west. It's going to be a beautiful day. Hopefully have some good fishing. So we're EIS Alaska. I'm Len. This is my son Matt. Together with my wife Anita and youngest son Tristan, we own a couple of fishing vessels up in Kodiak, Alaska, and fish halibut and rockfish and cod, crab is what we do for a living. So we're pulling longline gear for halibut today. It's getting pretty late in the fall. Fishing's been a little spotty, but we're getting through it anyways. So hopefully today's a good day. So the set we're in, starting in about 55 fathoms, and then we go up to about 31 or 32. The set's about a mile long, just shy of a mile long, I think. There's our anchor, Matt. Feel anything on there? Hard to say. So our first set had a lot of sharks on it this morning. Small, spiny dogfish. Hopefully we don't see that again. Not what we're looking for. No. I don't want to see any more of those today.
Sharks, go away.
Got a little tangle here, Matt. Let's have some halibut now.
I'm ready.
Right?
Hallies. No more skates.
The halibut.
Just a skate.
Oh.
That one's
That's handy. Oh, we went to the shark skates. Big boys too. Ooh, scallop. Wow. Look at that big beautiful scallop shell. Sometimes they'll clamp onto the bait. Yeah, sometimes they'll clamp onto the bait and get a little treat. That's a big scallop right there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that one's empty.
That scallop shell. Yeah, it's pretty big actually. Here's my hand on it. That would have been a Ramsey special, I think. Here's a big skate. Urgh. Why won't they leave us alone, Dad? Whoa! Oh, snap slid down the line. That's when you know they're a big one. That's happened.
Alrighty then. Sorry, pal, but that's what happens.
You tried. So everything in the stations are working great. Got throttle, jog stick, hydraulics. Got a little hook rack here on the back of the cabin. Line goes into a redirect pulley here. And into our level wind. The level wind is chain driven off this little hydraulic motor here. Has a flow valve on it so you can adjust the speed of it. And it's basically just a continuous chain. Drive goes around and round. There's a sprocket on this end. And in that slot there's just a little disc attached to one half of the chain. So that disc will come around the sprocket, staying in this little groove here, and it'll just pull the level wind back and forth, just like that. Pretty foolproof design, really reliable. We've never had an issue with it. Over here, bait station slash gutting table. We'll just bait up a handful of hooks, relocate them over here into the launching table, and then when I have a large bundle, I'll tie them up with these wires and stick them in this tub, and then they'll stay there until we're ready to set, and at which time I'll just pull them out of there, set them in the launch table here, untie them, get them all prepped and ready. So this is a chem drive gearbox. We have our hydraulic motor, comes in, input shaft, onto a gear, which is on like a yoke. You can slide the gear in and out of the drive unit itself. That engages a big gear, which drives this output shaft here onto this Boston gear, which transmits the force over to the real drive, the real shaft. So that's been super reliable too, happy to say. Got some nice pillow blocks. We rebuilt this probably, oh my gosh, it's probably been like 10 years ago that we redid the pillow blocks and put a stainless shaft through the reel itself. And then I think it's been about 5 years since we put a Boston gear in there. Yeah, things working good around here. Alright, looks like I got some hooks made up again. So, back to work.
Shark fin.
Terrible. Skates are the worst because they do this to our ganyons. Twist it up. When they're coming up, they tend to spin in a circle, and so they keep twisting the ganyon, twisting and twisting, and then when it comes up, it hockles like that and ruins it. Hey, that's what we're after here.
Nice halibut. Good. Come on.
That's what we're
Thank you. Woo! Ah, I get skate for reward. Cheers. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.
You good?
First halibut, guys, of this set. Cheers. That hook got bent out into the servicing pile.
If you're like wondering what I'm doing with my hand over here, this is where my steering and throttle is. You can probably hear when I put it in gear, engine changes pitch a little bit. gosh, it's a halibut. So those of you that have been following us for a long time and saw us haul from the stern on the fishtail probably don't realize how hard skates were actually to deal with back there. The setup is 100 times better. I couldn't actually really shake fish back there just because to keep the gear going and everything, it just took too much time to stop and deal with them. So Matt was always kind of just like stuck there if we were in skates. Now with big ones I can just lift them up and pull them on board. Small ones I can just stop it and shake it. Before I'd unclip them and just pretty much have to hold them there till Matt came over. It was hard on my hands, hard on my shoulder. Tough on the gear. This is so much better. Funny, we still get comments about how it looks so much more efficient hauling off the stern, but believe me, there's nothing efficient about it. Maybe comfortable in heavy weather, but that was really it. But the flip side of that too, if it's windy out, you don't have any control when you pull off the stern because you can't turn on the gear. All you can do is just pull. And so you're like physically pulling the boat through the water and maybe bumping it into gear to help take some of the strain off the line. But yeah, nothing good about it. So it's really nice to pull off the side on both boats now. Even if I was pulling off the stern right now, this line would either just be off one corner or the other, and you're just constantly having the boat in reverse. And one of the big things that you risk when you do that too is that if you have a big loop of line, a snarl or something, it can get washed right into the prop really easy. It can get washed in even if you're just drifting and pulling along, or it gets sucked in if you're in reverse. And that's always a bad situation too. Sir. Halibut. This is a nice one too. Get him! Get him! Oh, wasn't. Not with your long arms. You're not fooling me. Shoot him! Shoot him! Okay, we just need more of those. Many, many more, Matt. Many more.
10 more this set. And then 20 on the next set.
Boys, I need to take a nap after the set.
An 80-pound monster there. It's like an 80-pound monster there.
Oh, I know. So there is a market for skates up here, but the MRA, which is the maximum retainable amount, that's our bycatch allowance, is only 5%, 5% of the round weight of halibut. So if we cut 1,000 pounds round weight of halibut, we could like keep one of these fish. It used to be 20%, but they reduced it to 5%. had a concern that the stocks were being overfished because it was a kind of a fishery that was getting exploited by another gear group. And so, yeah. So now we have tons of skates everywhere. And it's just not worth it to keep them, really, honestly, to have one fish on board.
I'm back.
Hi.
You're probably wondering where I was. I actually went back deck and took a little nap.
Yeah. That's the hammock back there.
Yeah. It's quite comfortable. Nice ocean rocking me sleep.
Could it be a halibut, Matt?
Oh.
It's a decent one too. Nice halibut.
Yeah, hard to do.
Aha! I get skates for reward.
Oh no. Not the skates.
Out of here. How can there be so many of them?
While baiting, I'll keep an eye out for chafed or worn gear just like that. You don't want a big halibut getting on that because there's a chance it could break through. You lose your hook, which is a buck, and what's worse is you lose the halibut, which is many more dollars. The Ganyan costs about 30 cents, so it's a pretty cheap fix. You cut the hook off, cut the snap off, and replace the Ganyan, and then you're good for many, many more sets. Hit me in the angle.
Shark bait, keep it up. Nice one coming.
the pollock. He was on the pollock.
They like the pollock. There's a few pounds back there because of those big ones left.
Yeah, filled up quick.
Yeah.
Almost have the shape of the halibut.
I know. They saw it down there before that. That's exciting. Hello.
What do we got? We got halibut.
Look at
We got halibut.
They're nice halibut right here.
They are. Beautiful.
Yeah. Thinner line.
Yeah, one of our last thin lines, I think. There's two of them. 2 shots.
This line right here is 5/16. It's a little bit. We've got like 2 skates of this stuff. It's like old gear that I think we got real cheap or for free somewhere. So it's a tiny bit smaller than our other stuff, so the snaps like to slide on it. It's kind of annoying. The other stuff we use is 11/32, which is, yeah, only a 30-second bigger, but it's a big difference.
Ooh, shark.
Butterball.
That's that.
Good set.
Yeah. Very good.
Very good on the last end of this.
Okay, well, this is what we got in the bin. I'd say that was a pretty decent set. It's probably around 450-ish, I'd say. Really came in on that second half, which is pretty nice after the many skate we had to go through to get there.
Back. Ah! Dropped it, man. Must be like right against the hole here, I think.
Buoys going around the stern there. Do you see him? Oh, they're right
That's
there.
right.
they're not caught in the prop or anything. They're just hanging up on the rudder. There's a bit of a, I don't know if you call it a trim tab on there, but it kind of gets snagged a little bit. He's just gonna untie it back there, make it easy on himself. Drop the end, and then you can just spool the rest in. We just hung up on the prop up, or on the rudder, I mean. Probably just the rudder. We should,
underneath there.
On that piece of angle, we should cut the bottom, like triangle it down to the base of the rudder.
Yeah.
Next time we're on the grid, and then that can't catch on there anymore. So, with that, I guess this set's done. If you guys enjoyed, please leave a like. It really helps out our channel. Comment down below, and most importantly, subscribe.
Yeah, that was like the Cinderella story right there, huh?
Yeah, it sure was. Went from skates and sharks to a lot of nice slabs.
Yeah, boy. Wonderful grain. There's only like 10 fish in there.
I was gonna say, those will clean up really quick.
Like 40-pound average.
Yeah. We love to see it.
Alright.
Alright. Knock these halibut out here. Cleaned up. So what I'm doing is gutting these halibut. Guess I'll show you how. Just cut the gill plate there and there. There's a spot here that holds the gills to the front there. Just whack that real quick. And then there's some tissue up here that you just cut away from the spine while applying pressure with your hand that way. After that, go in right there, follow around under the collarbone, around, and you cut some muscles that are attached to the spine right there. By doing that, go back in below, do the same thing, cut the other muscle in the same spot, cut around the intestines there, move it. Now you reach in with your knife, cut the bloodline. That makes it easier to scrape later. Now that your hands are free, remove the gonads, the egg sac, grab your scraper, and scrape out that bloodline. sure you scrape out those remaining mussels that we cut just earlier. All those sweet meats. Bloodline and those little mussels are quick to spoil, so you want to scrape them out so that when you're on a long voyage you don't have well, spoiling halibut. So that's how you gut a halibut.
Look, he doesn't have a left fin.
Oh, Nemo.
Yeah.
52. Beautiful grade on this one, Dad.
Right? It's like a 35 or 40 pound average.
Yeah. Crazy. 49. 35. 47. 45. 52.
Fat Daddy. Another 52. Another 52.
52.
49.
51.
49.
49. All right. That was a good set. So we're just running over our next one here. A couple minutes away, I suppose. It's beautiful out here. It's just glassy. Love it this way. Hard to beat this office, that's for sure. All right, folks. Well, we're all cleaned up. Got our fish gutted. That last set was about as expected. Skate City, so we didn't film it. Got 13 fish though, so actually not terrible, but there's just far too many skates to pick through. Gonna end up hurting ourselves
shaking them off like that. Probably, gosh, at least a few thousand pounds of skates. They're really exhausting to shake off the hook, and yeah, you're just setting yourself up for injury there. So we're gonna head up the line, up through the Narrows, probably up to Chiniac Bay there, and we'll see if we fish another day this trip or just get cleaned up and prepped and ready for another. But for now, let's get these fish down. There's already some down in there from our last set. It's time to layer ice and get them all chilling. So I'm gonna be using this sweet headlight from Phoenix. Sent it to us free of charge, so we'll give her a try down there in the hold, see how it works. Down we go. Hey guys, so we're icing in the forward bin here. As you can see, there's a little mess of halibut down here already, so we'll start by crawling into that bin over there and poke icing these guys that are currently on the bed. This ice here has held amazingly well. This chunk over here we got over 3 weeks ago, pretty close to a month ago. So we're super impressed with the insulating capability of this fish hole. Putting ice into the belly cavity of these halibut. This is called poke icing. I don't know why they call it poke icing. I guess it's just because you poke ice into it. But this will get a lot of ice on their thick core right here. Get its internal temperature down quite quickly. So it's a good way to treat your fish, especially if you're on a longer voyage. You have to do it if you're on a longer one, actually. Slush fish will only hold for 3 days. After the first one, after you fish your first day, the timer starts, and you can fish 72 hours after that. After that, you need to go and deliver your fish, otherwise the quality just goes down. But Layerized poke-eyes fish, they can hold for a couple of weeks if they're iced properly. So if you want to do a long-term trip, that's the way to go. For us, we've been out for, I guess, 3 days now. I think today is our 4th actual day of catching fish. Maybe it's our 3rd. I don't know. I lost count. You guys are right in the way. Get over here. So yeah, the set lamp works pretty good. I like it. Lights up here where you're working. It also detaches from the headband and has a little clip on it, so you can clip it on something. Pretty sure it has a little magnet in it, so you can stick it on something, something metal, something steel, or iron. So if you want a headlamp of your own, we have the affiliate link down below. We get a little commission from it. Anybody who purchases the headlamp or flashlight using the link in our description will get a little cut. So it helps in supporting us, and you also get a pretty sweet headlamp or flashlight out of it. So head on down if you're in the market for one. And thank you for your support. That's it. The spin. The other thing about poke and layer icing is that you don't get as much capacity usage, obviously. Ice takes up a lot more space than slush ice and refrigerated water, so I'll have to check how much we actually have on board so far, but I think it's in the range of like 2,000 pounds in that bin, so yeah, I guess we'll bring you guys back a little bit later once we're further up the line, or I don't know, figure out our new plan. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like the video if you enjoyed it. Comment down below, let us know what you think. Always love hearing feedback and comments. And if you are in need of a nice sweet headlamp like the one I'm wearing, check out the affiliate link down below. It'll give us a little commission for each sale, so if you're in the market, check them out. And I guess we'll see you guys again soon. Thanks for watching.